Welcome back to Let's Talk Race and Mile, and I'm your host, Harrison Paul. There's been a bombing that's took place in Goma by the M23 soldiers. I don't really like to identify them as the M23 soldiers because I understand who is behind the M23 soldiers. But on May 3rd, last week, there was a bombing. Last weekend, there was a bombing on a place in Congo, Goma. This has been a tragic situation yet again. But it's been tragedy for a very, very long time. We've just become desensitized to the tragedy that takes place in Africa and the war over the minerals. And there's so much things I wanted to address regarding this. And the main factor is our mentality. Nothing will change until our mentality towards these, unfortunate situations and circumstances change. Now, you may think I mean it in a way to say we need to be slightly more, proactive or intelligent. But it's actually not really that angle I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it as we need to understand the truth and not be afraid to believe the truth. I think that is the main problem that we have. It is the fear of believing the truth. We are not allowed to believe the truth. We've not been allowed to believe the truth. There's only been one truth we have been allowed to believe, and that truth has been the story of our incompetence. Unless the story is dressed in, a cloak of our incompetence, it is not the right story, right? It's not allowed to be attached to colonialism. It's not allowed to be anything of a continuation of colonization or colonialism. It has to be all that is done. It's finished. I even seen a headline from the Telegraph that said, "Oh, it has been proven that UK did not get its wealth, current day wealth, from slavery or colonization." Which this is where we get to see who is in control of the narrative, right? These people, they want to erase history in such a way where they know that it will, and it has, and it will even more so in the future come up to catch them and bite them in the back. And all the Europeans, all the Westerners understand this factor. So they've always tried to downplay it, or, nah, you can't complain about that. It's your fault. It's your own problem. Get a grip of yourself. Meanwhile, they are still destabilizing Africa. So the first thing I want to actually play today is I'm going to play this young man who everyone was talking about. He was talking to the minister, and some guy asked him, young black man asked him, what happens with the Rwanda bill? Will my family members be sent back to Goma? And I'm going to give you an angle of this I can guarantee you have not heard yet. So let's watch it and I'll give it to you.
I come from a neighbouring country called Congo, if you know geographically, that it's located right next door to Rwanda. And right now in Goma, there's a genocide going on, and there's such a big conflict going on with people from Rwanda. So had my family members come from Goma on a crossing right now, would they then be sent back to the country that they're supposedly warring, Rwanda?
No, I think there's an exclusion on people from Rwanda being sent to Rwanda.
They're not from Rwanda, they're from Congo.
They're from Congo.
And they're supposedly
from Congo.
They're supposedly warring these people from Rwanda. Are they then going to be sent to Rwanda if they came here on a crossing?
From
Congo? Yeah.
Would people be sent from... Well, I mean, Rwanda is a different country of Congo, isn't it? It's a different country.
Yes.
It is.
Yes, definitely. You're saying if they come from a war zone in Congo, would they then be sent to Rwanda? That's the point he's making.
So there is a clause in the legislation that says if somebody would suffer, I think the phrase is serious and irreversible harm by being sent somewhere, they wouldn't be sent. So there is that safety mechanism built into the legislation.
Let's talk about this for a second. Let's talk about the fact that I was digesting this for a couple of days, and I just couldn't put my finger on what I was feeling about the video. And after a few days, it came to me and hit me. His voice and his face and just the video kept replaying in my head, and I kept replaying, and I thought, I really love this, guys. You got to stick with me today. I thought to myself, boy, do I love the white man so much. let me tell you something. He closed the door after that meeting, and he went in with his friends and his millionaire friends, he could not give a rat's. He could not give an absolute rat's. There's a tone off this brother, and hopefully, this brother, if he ever sees this, I want him to understand that I'm not getting at you when I say what I'm about to say now. In fact, what I'm about to say now actually is no fault of your own. It's the indoctrination that has been given to us as a people, and not just black people, everybody. There is supposed to be a narrative where we feel sorry for the African, and even those who want to be nice fall into that, and of course black people fall into that also. So we're asking, our parents, if I get sent to your house because dad doesn't want me this weekend, or my family, kind of like, who's gonna look after me then? You know what I mean? Like I'm your child. You know what I mean? Like, where am I gonna go? Or my cousins are coming. Where are they gonna go? And too right, he doesn't know where Congo or Rwanda is. He doesn't have to care. He does not have to care. He absolutely does not have to care. He does not have to care. He does not have to care. He closed the door with his billionaire friends or whatever millionaire friends and wives and husbands, and he does not have to care. So when we sit there and we ask him, like, are you going to look after me then? Or, I can't look after myself. And this is the vital part of the story. You have to sit on that show and tell him and remind these people you caused the destabilization in Africa. It's not because we are uncivilized Africans who are just destructive and just killing each other and whatever. We need to wake up and smell the coffee, brothers and sisters. There's a war for the minerals. There is a battle for the minerals. The tech era is taking off. We are never turning back. We are never turning back to a world without tech. We are absolutely out of here. Billions and billions and trillions for tech. Oh, you couldn't imagine. Think of everyone who has a phone right now. There's not a human. I remember there was a period of time where I didn't have a phone, and I'll never forget. My dad said, how can you not have a phone? And I was actually really enjoying my time without a phone because it just felt like, everywhere I went, I walked there. I didn't have any contact, and I just felt a little bit recluse. It was a nice, really good feeling. And I was enjoying the time. I was enjoying not really being tapped into the world around me, but just kind of, and how could you not have a phone? He used to say to me, how could you not have a phone? That just tells you where we're at. How could anybody? Like, you mustn't have yourself if you don't have a phone. You don't have an existence if you don't have a phone. You don't have an existence. Are you even living if you don't have a phone? Do you think the phones are made from minerals within Europe? You think they're mined within Europe? You think something that has now become this level of a necessity to the world and it is found in Congo? Do you think when they deal with Congo it's going to be peacefully? It just frustrates me. It just frustrates. I need you to know. I need you to know, brothers and sisters. People are going to play ugly and dirty. They don't even manufacture phones. We don't even use it. I think the president of Rwanda even admitted it. The stuff that are being mined don't even come to great usage to African nations. Really, they don't manufacture them that much. It's the West. It's the West. It's America. It's Europe. So when you sit on a show like that, I can only imagine he definitely, they definitely wanted to check your questions before they let you truly express yourself on a show like that. So they definitely made sure, okay, no, we know what it's going to say. But I'm so happy I'm awake now because the white man has depended on that narrative. Because no matter what even if you think you have one up on him because he didn't know Rwanda or didn't know where Congo was, he doesn't got to. Why does your enemy have to know where one? You got to tell him what he's doing. The Africans should know exactly. He should know exactly what is going on there. You think it's because Rwanda just wants to shoot a bunch of African people? You think just because, huh? Just because. You see, what's his name? Paul Kagame coming to shake hands with the Prime Minister of Great Britain. It's all coincidence, guys. It's all coincidence. Brothers and sisters, I need you to never underestimate the webs in which we were in when we received our so-called independence. I do videos and videos and videos on this. I'll put 2 of them up on the screen on either side, but I've got loads. I'll just pick the 2 that I think will probably get the best information that you can get, or to get you to understand this better. My brothers and my sisters, please do not be naive to think that we are just this primitive people who are just barbaric and apes and just shoot each other and just whatever. If you think about the weapons, where do we get the weapons from? Where do the weapons come from? Where does the ammo come from? We don't manufacture ammo. Where does the ammunition come from?
If you ever fly very low over the DRC, you'll see tarmacs in the jungle. You'll see 747s flying into DRC, picking up minerals and flying right out. The same multinationals are responsible for arming young people and giving them MK16s. Because why? Their satellites in the skies are telling them where that village is. There are lots of diamonds. So what do? Arm young people, drag them up, and send them to go chop off a few heads. The rest of the village runs away, so they come behind and do their illegal mining. We black people must understand what is really going on.
My brothers and sisters, do not put it down to a corruption with a leader. You must understand the West is more tech savvy than even Africa itself. And if they know that their future profit sits in the ground in Africa, there is no lengths they're not willing to go to get that for as cheap as they can. Cheap as chips. There is no length they are willing not to go. And I'm just trying to find a way for people to understand this. Listen, I was thinking today, I was asking myself, what makes an M23 soldier just feel, what puts that hatred in him to just want to just bomb a bunch of men and women? I'm trying to think about it. And it wasn't long, boom, hits my head, money. Money. Simple answer. Here, go and bomb them. I'll give you 10,000. Each of you soldiers will get 5,000 per bombing, per tragedy. What's that to a company like Apple? It's nothing. We can do that. We don't take any blame. We don't take any nothing. Claire Daly speaks about this. I do this on my videos. She said this. It's being said not only by a black person who's just blaming the white man. Claire Daly is saying it. Mick Wallace is saying it. People in the EU are saying it.
The Western media shows 2 warlords, 2 rival military factions, ordinary people frightened and fleeing, but nothing explained, no context, no responsibility. The European elites throw up their hands and wonder, how shall we swoop in and save the Africans from themselves? But there's no mention of European funding, external border policies, the financing of state forces to round up desperate people migrating north to stop them reaching Europe. We've removed our fingerprints from this disaster and we pretend it comes from nowhere. I agree that we need peace, but how? As usual, this isn't about what we must do, but what we've got to stop doing. Sudan needs civilian government. Sudan needs economic justice. It needs an end to militarised extractivism in rural communities driven by the circuits of Western capital. That's the cause of the decades of instability and suffering in Sudan. If we stop paying the warlords wages, maybe then the people of Sudan would have a chance at civilian government.
Thank you very much. And now I would...
I've been ransacked with wars in which Europe played no good part. and we build higher walls to keep them out. Welcome to our European values.
It's not a conspiracy theory anymore, brothers and sisters. And if you think about it, they're being funded by the Westerners. Here's a fraction, here's a dot of the trillions we are making. That is so much to an M23 soldier. M23 soldier. If I was in my conditions, you tell me you're not bombing anybody? In the dire conditions they already are there, the way they see death, the way death has been so desensitized to them, the way they grew up probably seeing their mom and dad dying left and right, aunts, uncles, sisters, brothers, cousins. Death don't mean nothing. Tragedy's been happening since we came out of colonization. Tragedy. These people are not like me and you, huh? These people are not like me and you, huh? These people are not like me and you, huh? These people are seeing life completely different, huh? Life don't look the same, huh? Don't look the same like it does where you just have everyone there, everything's quite normal, until a big tragedy happens, it's on the news. That is what they live with, their normality. So you're thinking, how could they get to a place where they just do this to each other? These Africans, these Africans. This is all they know. So then you say, here, listen, by the way, you're going to be able to eat when you want, how you want, however you want, and a little bit of extra on the side, not a little bit extra, a bit more extra on the side. Take this gun and go air out a spot where we know we're trying to mine, where we know we're trying to get diamonds, where we know we want chrome, platinum, rubies, uranium, you name it, minerals. Go there and mine. They go in and the multinationals, allowed off the leash, come in and do their things properly. Oh, and by the way, you want to bring them to the court? Well, the very people who are benefiting, the UN, so-called UN, but they're really the US, are the ones who are supposed to penalize this. World Trade Organization is supposed to penalize it. The very people we need to penalize are the very people who are benefiting. What is going to save us, my brothers and sisters? What is going to save us is us having, follow me, an understanding, a unified understanding. With this unified understanding, I was thinking about the Palestinians and the people who've been fighting for Palestine and just thinking the tenacity. One day the world will be fighting like this for Africa. They're not. One day the truth will be so out. There's not much for Netanyahu to do. He might as well just keep bombing now until he just gets out with his little itch and then moves on. At this point, this beauty of the new age and the new era, there's no turning back for Israel at this point. At this point, we've seen it all. We've seen it all on camera. We've caught it all on camera. I honestly think there's no turning back for them at this point. Absolutely no. And there's no turning back for America for how long they've stood with them. This is the generation of, truth coming out. You have to remember a lot of what happened in the generations before us. A lot of these things were taking place, but the only people who fed us the news were the very people the people who are causing the problems, the people who control the narrative. So this ability now to make TikToks, ability to start YouTube channels, ability to give news is really where we find freedom, is where we find justice, is where we find a turnaround in this sick world that we live in, that we can now control how things are spoken about, where it's truthful. So I digress and I get back to my brother who said, where do we go? And I mean no diss to that young brother. He's thinking he's challenging that man the way he should be. That ain't no challenge. If I was him, I'm closing my door. I'm going to say, listen, I don't care. You got your visa. Stop crying. If your other man got his visa, stop. We must know the enemy. And with that, we must also know that his civilization is being held up on Africa's detriment. We just saw bombing. We're seeing bombing. We're seeing tragedy. The only way, brothers and sisters, we will come to a place where things change is when the truth becomes mainstream. Until that truth becomes mainstream, it's never going to change. It's never going to change. So I just wanted to reinforce that to you today and just to say to you, simple. You know, very tragic thing that took place on May 3rd. And this will continue happening. It hurts me. It hurts. It hurts. You know? But they don't think that this is just barbaric black people. There they go again. What? They're just crazy, aren't they? That's what they want you to think. And now you're asking the very people, are you going to save us from ourselves? If I'm him, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. At least he's not asking me what I have to do with it. He's not asking me what we have to do with it. Goodness gracious, at least he's not asking me what we benefit from the detriment of Congo. At least not asking me why are we not penalizing places like Apple? Why are we not penalizing anybody who takes minerals from Congo? At least they're not getting to the bottom of who is Rwanda really, and why we know that Rwanda are currently having a genocide against the Congo, and why are we doing a deal with them? Honestly, guys, they do not care. They do not have to care. And a lot of people think that I have self-pity when it comes to this topic. I'm actually quite ready for a fight. And I know it's probably rich, coming from me sitting here in a talk show. But I don't really expect much from them either. But I'm definitely up for pushing and pressing them with the hard truths that have been covered for generations. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And I'm on a mission for you.